Welcome to Creating You in the Universe. My name is Leah. This is my co-host, Sandra. And today we're talking about owning your gifts. Now, I'm just going to throw this in before we do our intention. You know what the opposite of owning your gifts are?
Imposter
Syndrome. So, with that said, let's focus on embracing our gifts. And one of the best gifts that I know Sandra has is blessing us with an intention for today. So take it away.
All right. For anyone coming across this video, past, present, or future, I bless you with owning your gifts, speaking your gifts, and knowing your gifts. And if you don't know them yet, then finding your true gifts and what you came here to do and be and become. And sprinkled with love and success. And forever grateful for you for coming across this. Be blessed.
Be blessed. That was great. It was beyond great. I really love that intention because I feel... I can't say younger person anymore, but as a person of my age who's already lived their 20s and their teens and entering my 30s, I feel like it's such a chapter of life to have imposter syndrome, to be written off because of your age rather than who you are and your abilities. And I firmly believe there are people that are being born, that the next generation is, they're being gifted with that much more than the one before. And to, I think there's a shift in people maybe giving more credit to the person rather than the stereotype. But that said, sometimes stereotypes can trip me up. Stereotypes and labels can trip me up on showing up and being me, taking up space and offering and sharing who I am, whether that's just me as a person or my gifts and the things that I've come here on this planet, this lifetime to do.
I don't know why to shift that right now. It was calling for me, yeah.
Yeah, own yourself.
Took that time.
I think there's
normally I wouldn't have done that.
What?
On film.
Oh, check yourself out?
Yeah, well, change something. I would have been like, oh no, I don't wanna like make it look like I'm looking at myself or like and I'm like, frig this is bugging me. I'm gonna change it right now.
Good for you.
So yeah.
Own that power.
Mm-hmm. So if you had to say,
go ahead, please.
So if you had one magic power that you believed you had with no judgment about anybody, what's your magic power? One of them.
Well, I would the first thing that comes to mind is being that seer. I feel like before people open up their mouths, I can see the energy around them, a tale of their life based off how their energy is playing out in their body. My super talent is I've got X-ray vision, X-ray knowing, there's no hiding. But I find part of imposter syndrome and the opposite of owning those gifts is people like me gaslight themselves in what they're receiving instead of doubt it. Mm-hmm. And not owning those gifts and feeling like that's not me. I still have to go and maybe take a spiritual course to affirm that I am that, when I already had these gifts before I ever took any of those courses. What about you?
So mine's super, it's uncomfortable to talk about because it is, and this is why you brought up imposter syndrome, I brought up owning your gifts. So, and we realized that they go together hand in hand. So something that I was blessed with was always talking to the universe since I was a little girl. My mom always said I would be talking to the sky, blah, 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 and almost arguing, and not in a crazy way. And just so you know, if I ever say crazy, that's what my word is, and I don't think it is a bad word. It's that's crazy. It's astounding, phenomenal, things like that. So was changing the weather. One of the big things was another piece. And my actual family used to play with me, or my mom more so. And anytime I was in a super bad mood, there'd be a storm. And she's always like, oh, Sandra's in a bad mood. Looks, there's probably going to be a tornado today. And she'd joke about that. And then
her house was lifted and she was not in Kansas anymore.
That's right. And so those are all things that you talk about with your family, and then you start, how can you say that to other people? Oh, I can manipulate the weather, I can change the weather. And then it was like, can I really, can I not? So then as a teenager I started to play with it. And since my parents were already joked about it my whole life, all of a sudden there was some kind of knowing there. And when they were farmers, they were super successful farmers, and I remember my mom would be like, I need you to hold off the rain, because we need to get this hay off the fields and stuff like that. And I would like
hold off the rain,
sky and hold off the rain. And I didn't forget about it, but definitely there was a piece of my life where I kind of went back in, and it didn't. I was ashamed or embarrassed or doubted myself, or all these things,
or didn't have a safe space,
right,
to express that and practice it,
right. So for anyone who's been in Calgary this year for this winter, how's the winter been for you? Because there was a piece of it that I was like, I'm going to play with it this year. And there was this one time I remember, and I'll never forget this, and we laugh about it now, but my husband put on the winter tires, and we got a snowstorm, and I said, but it's actually not going to snow this year very much. I'm going to make it that it's the mildest winter ever.
And it has been.
And there was this time, and I said to him, I think it's time, you got to take off the winter tires. They'll last longer, and anybody who knows, we have 2 sets. Finally, it took us forever to get those 2 sets of rims, so we can just switch them easily. But winter tires cost way more than all seasons, depending on what car you drive. So I said, let's save the winters. We don't need them anywhere. And my husband was fixing one of the brakes. And so he's like, okay, well, this is the time I'm going to change the tire. And I was like, yeah, change them. And literally, I kid you not, he was standing in the garage, and he comes out of the garage, and he goes, as we're standing in a skiff of snow. I said there was going to be a skiff of snow, and it was a pretty big snowstorm for this year, which wasn't at all what it has been in the past. It was like 2 feet or 3 feet of snow. And he goes, Sandra, I'm asking you to be really honest with me right now. I'm about to take off the winter tires, and you're telling me it's a skiff of snow. As the snow is falling, am I really going to change the tires? And I said, change the damn tires. It's just a skiff of snow. It'll go away. And he's like, you could just see. And I was like, are you doubting me? And he goes, yes, I am. I don't believe you in this moment in time. And I was like, okay, well, let me show you then, And sure enough, he changed them to the summers, or the all seasons. And by the next day, the snow stopped. And yeah, it lasted a couple days. But within a week, it was like bone dry. It was right before Christmas even, and it was like bone dry, like +8, like no snow. And I remember driving with him, and I was all like, huh, you believe me now? So there's and someone would watching might say, well, that's insane, that's just a coincidence, things like that. But
and you're allowed to feel that way.
You're allowed to feel that
way. This podcast might not be for you.
Yes, that's right. But one of the big things, and that conversation did change between my husband and I, not for anything, but it left like, you'd think it would make me more insecure, and it actually did the opposite. It actually made me own it more. And he goes, well, then own it more. Then say it. Then start talking to people about it. Start claiming your gift. And I was like, oh, you mean like on social media and stuff? Like, I'm not there yet. So he's like, you want the gift, you have the gift, I believe you have the gift. Then start talking about the gift, start sharing with the gift, things like that. Mm-hmm. And that's one of them. I'm sure you've got lots.
So for me, listening to you, what was coming through was memories of a child being affirmed my gifts. Opposite experience. where it started really with my grandma. Grandma, with my mom being younger, we went to grandma's for childcare for a decent chunk of our lives. Not our whole lives, but there was a good couple years. And at least that's how I remember it. And grandma was, this was the 90s. She was Reiki master, hypnotherapist, massage therapist, channeling, through her, like, just like you and Ian, where you're working together to channel and one asks the question and the other, anyways, all the things. And so grandma taught me how to affirm within myself that this is real. Do you feel that energy? This is what you can do with it. Here, let's test to the universe. And so, where the gifts came to be doubted and maybe suppressed was my mom was like, no, that's too much. You trust me. Those gifts are real, but that is a door that you leave closed because X, Y, and Z are all going to happen, and take my word for it, you don't want that. And so that's valid for my mom's experience. That's her experience. And so I think as a kid, it incorporated a lot of fear. And with fear and the supernatural, that's a playful place I don't think people enjoy being. Fearing your own gifts, fearing what you can experience, fearing your greatness. Because there is a lot of greatness to be had with owning your gifts. There is, I feel like, the call of your life, really, by sharing you as an individual and all that you do and who you are and taking up that space, complete opposite of censorship of self. You are in this ever-expanding experience of the universe experiencing itself. And when you own those gifts, it's like putting gasoline on the fire of, your creative life and what you're creating in this world and experiencing and sharing. And yeah, that was what came through while you were talking, is I had the little bit of own your gifts, these are real, this is part of us, you can see all the ways why, and on the other end being like taught to suppress that other people might not even accept me should I express that part of myself as well. So that was a little bit about my path. And so when I became 18, and that's what my mom said, when you're 18 you can go and do this. I will let you have your tarot decks, whatever that avenue is for you, you can go do that. But as long as you're in my house and still a child,
you play by my rules.
You play by my rules. This is how we are. And so what that went into, I find that expression of self was actually journaling. And it was a safe space to share my own gifts to myself. It was a safe place to talk to the universe, to put in my dreams, to write down what I aspire to actually experience versus what I'd like to let go. So that was part of my journey.
I think another piece was there was a time that whether my parents were in a different mindset or whatever, that there was kind of this back and forth, like, oh, can you make the rain stop? And then, oh, you can't do it anyways. Like, and therefore came a well, is it true? Is it not? And then I remember being a young adult and talking to someone, and someone's like, well, don't say that too loud because you might get locked up in a sale asylum. So then that kind of spooked me a bit. But then I had a spiritual teacher come in and say at the very end of one of the sessions, she goes, I have never seen someone be able to manipulate like you can. I've actually never met someone who can manipulate energy like you. And she goes, that's a very dangerous trait to have. Make sure you always stay on this side of it, because it can go both ways. So it was very much knowing, but and she was very renowned, yeah. Yeah, so she was very famous and just so happened to get it. So there was that authority, and I believed what she said. So then she kind of reopened that door of, it is true. I wasn't just a crazy kid growing up, or my parents did see something, but then maybe it was the fact that they saw, and then wanted to protect.
To me,
Right.
what I hear is a projection of themselves. It's a projection of cognitive dissonance. A cognitive dissonance, if you don't know what it is, it's like there is fact right in front of your face, and you hear it, and then all of a sudden you're like, that doesn't even exist. You can have all the proof in the world, but if your consciousness, subconsciousness isn't ready to take that in as facts, it becomes cognitive dissonance, and we just pretend like it's not even there. It's like the elephant in the room, that study. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Another thing that I know that both of us possess with talent is healing. And I know I'm certified blue energy healing. If you want more about that, it's always, you can reach out. I know what your healing is, but you can talk about it in a second. I'm really learning more about my healing in a sense of, because I know we've talked a little bit about this on another episode, it doesn't feel like healing to me. And as I'm growing and learning and developing and practicing my gifts and calling it out, it's more along the lines of a pulse, and it comes from the solar plexus or my heart, and literally I connect with the universe, which is within me, but there's this out, we always want to look out for it, but it's actually within, but it comes from me and it pulses out and wraps itself around whatever vehicles. I've fixed vehicles, and people, healed ailments, healed diseases that were like life-threatening, things like that, infections. Someone's like, hey, I got an ear infection, and then boom, like I did it, and within like 12 hours I've healed. I had a not third degree, like a bad burn, like when it's all blistered and stuff, and within 2 hours it had already, the blisters already went down, and like you can't even see, there's like no scarring whatsoever. And who can do that within like hours? I've broken my toe and literally stopped it, and within an hour I'm walking as if it's normal, and the bruising started and then the bruising stopped. So yeah, there's a lot of that within me, and as I practice and grow, it's starting to spread and do these miraculous things around the planet, that I'm still learning and growing into and accepting.
So, hearing about gifts and healing and energy work, what comes to mind is, I feel like in our world there's so many modalities, and I feel like the modalities are almost like an older world paradigm. I feel like there's so many things, whether it's religion or energy work, to me, in my own beliefs, it's really like a channeling of source. If you're, name the modality, it's like I can still empathically and intuitively feel it's an expression of source. Call it Reiki, call it chakra therapy.
Did all these modalities come because people's egos kind of got in the way? And like they call it something else, but it's all the same kind of thing. Someone can tweak something, like I might feel I can do this, I can manipulate the weather more than anyone else thus far, but you can do the same thing for a body or chakra alignments or something, but it's the same, it comes from the same
It's an
place.
expression of source, And so I feel like just hearing that, I think of gatekeeping. I feel like Reiki's been kept. And if I'm speaking bluntly, where Reiki comes from and energetically how it's sourced, it's not my favorite modality, but that's beside the fact. Name the modality, it's been packaged and sold and gate kept, and how can we gatekeep something that is eternal?
Comes from the ultimate
source,
creator of the planet and the universe.
And I feel like there is something that's beautiful about each individual. So for Sandra and how she channels source, it's similar to like a painting of a picture or making a meal. It's not that everyone's expression and their strengths is going to be different. It's just a different expression of self. And so I guess where I'm going with this is, if you feel like you manipulate the weather, if you feel like you heal in the ways that you heal and that connection to God or source, give yourself permission to own that power within and let yourself be who you know you are. You do not need a certificate.
Yeah,
you didn't permission. These are gifts within you, and I just want to say it and affirm this. If you're looking for a sign and you're looking for a voice that says what I do is real, who I am and my strengths are valid, this is me telling you right now that it absolutely is real and you are talented, and the universe wants you to express your gifts because it brings you joy. It brings so much love in your life, and when you are practicing the joy, when you are integrating the loves of your life, it overflows from you and just transforms your whole world. So, just do you, be you. My most miserable times have been not letting myself be a big personality because of wounds of abandonment. If I am me and I allow myself to share that greatness that I am and that everyone is, then, sorry, I thought I heard a baby crying.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I was listening, I promise. And then all of a sudden another thought came in, so.
So what was the thought? Let's go there.
The thought is that there's two things. One, exactly what Leah says, own it. There is a piece of a warning coming through saying there are rules and universal laws on this planet. So I believed I could fly too.
Yeah.
I do believe I could fly, but we might not be able to do that here yet. So I just don't want everyone to be like, well, I can fly, and then practice going out a window. Like
how you were a kid talking to the universe, I was a kid.
Yeah.
Feeling it. Standing on the step, being like, this is the time.
Yeah.
This is the time that it actually flies. And
yeah. We will get there, maybe. I'm not putting that in and out, but
I do get there when I astral travel.
Right.
When I lucid dream.
Absolutely.
That's still part of my energetic body.
Right. So just be wary or understand the laws of the universe, gravity, things. Don't put yourself in harm's way, especially if you're just learning how to own it. Practice it in little stages and then get more confident, and then we'll see. And maybe you are going to be the first one that can actually just take off and fly, and then the rest of us will all be like, yeah, I'm doing it now.
I knew it.
Yeah. The other piece I was coming through was working with another client in our coaching program. They wanted to believe that there was magic. I want to believe in magic again. I want to believe those fairy tales exist. And I assure you, magic does exist on this planet. And there's powers that are beyond your wildest dreams that still haven't even been brought out to fruition yet. And I just got the goosebumps. So bear with us. As more and more people watch this podcast and become who they truly are, you are going to see the magic of the planet come to life again and not be suppressed. I believe that a lot of the things were suppressed. I'm a firm believer in a lot of the movies, whether they're Disney or whatever you have, you're everyone's kind of blocking Disney right now, but there's a lot to say about some of the stuff that it's right in our faces, the nursery rhymes, my husband made a huge point the other day when I was talking about pulsing something. He said, you're almost like a Care Bear. I said, you know what? That's exactly what it's like, except it doesn't come, my tummy comes out of right here, and it's not a rainbow or a cupcake or whatever. And I was like, they were telling us about that all along. There's all these signs and symptoms and movies that are giving you these hints like, come on, people, pick it up. Like,
when I'm doing energy work, and it's not necessary to have the hands, but when my hands are there, it's taking up above.
Right.
And then I don't know if you can see, like,
it just tilts back.
It's still, like, that energetic
So
center.
she's doing, like
I'm going like this.
Right.
And so it's similar. Not heart, not sacral, not quite, so it's just, I don't know.
Comes out of the tummy like a Care Bear kind of thing.
It's where I feel it.
Yeah, so that is true. It is accurate. It is real.
So I'm thinking of great tools to help you overcome imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So if you don't know what imposter
side.
syndrome is, it's like it's basically doubting ourselves. It's giving you an example. If you feel like you'd like to do some spiritual teaching, well, imposter syndrome would come out and be like, well, who am I to say that I could teach spiritual things? That would be imposter syndrome. For a great piece of advice that I heard learning massage therapy was fake it till you make it, because energetically the universe doesn't recognize if you are, how can I put, I'll do the massage therapy first. When it was fake it till you make it, people feel through touch insecurity. The imposter syndrome of, oh my, can she tell that I'm new at this? Like, there is, and we did it. We did tests. Like, we would have our teacher whisper to us, make your hands express anger. Make your hands express, caring. Make your hands express someone. He gave all these examples. And so it was a demonstration of fake it till you make it, because no matter what you're doing, it comes across. Mm-hmm. So if you are owning your gifts and you're a spiritual teacher, fake it till you make it, own it, pretend like you're Oprah or whatever it is that you need to channel to fake it. It's not really faking it. It's channeling a greatness and expressing yourself in such ways.
Mm-hmm. There was a piece that came through, but it disappeared again.
I think,
sorry, I got it.
Yeah.
When imposter syndrome has happened to me, it's all of a sudden like I'm outside of my body. Like I almost leave, and like there's this voice that's watching me going, what are you doing? That's wrong. You're lying. They can see you. And it's almost like, you kind of feel like you're disconnected. It's a weird feeling, and you get like, you almost feel ashamed, or like...
It's the opposite of embodiment.
Yeah. You feel gross. It feels like you're lying. Everyone, Mm-hmm.
I think imposter syndrome, having a greater agenda out there that helps people doubt their gifts, doubt their individuality, conform them into worker bees that work a 9-to-5, I think that has encouraged a squashing of the individual, a squashing of creativity. I think that if you were to share your gifts and the average man were to share their gifts, our world would look dramatically different, because we would be living through our joys, not through a conglomerate that's making profit off of our time. Those are different expressions of self. So,
I have a piece that's coming through. So,
yeah, go ahead.
I always watch on Netflix the older shows. So I don't know how old New Amsterdam and Grey's Anatomy are, but I love those doctor shows and things. And it's funny, and I often talk about this on social media a lot because it's so funny. And you can tell how afraid the they that are keeping people secluded and stupid and, limited, and because they talk about it all the time about these, it's always, you always have this one that's, oh, I can do this and I can do that. I think we talked about this a little bit, but they're still showing it, or they've got this gift of something, and they always trace it back to, oh, you've got a brain clot or you're a brain cancer or something. So that's why you have a gift. It's not real. They always do that. Why? Why are they doing it? Because they are so afraid, because as we are so powerful. We are so powerful. And they are so afraid that when we actually remember who we are, it comes out. They're petrified of us.
Things change fast.
Right. But I'm noticing the very last episode that just uploaded, so we're in 2024, the very last episode of Grey's Anatomy, the main character, I can't think of her name right now, Fox, she has cancer, and for the first time, she actually is like going holistic and talking about a Reiki master and this and that, and I was like, because the thing about it is that they have to watch where they are, because if more of the planet is starting to turn and believe in that, they have to get in front of it so that it came from them. they're programming out. We're programming you. We tell you what to believe. So they're still trying to take it that they're
still
allowing
programming you.
That we're allowing you to believe that, okay, Reiki's okay. Okay, this and that. But I noticed New Amsterdam for the first time. I'm watching the newest season. Same thing. There was a guy, and he was a channeler, a janitor, and he comes out and he's helping these people get this closure. And sure enough, they bring him into the psych ward, and they're like, I don't believe you. There's something else going on. It sounds like you have epilepsy. Let's run the tests. And sure enough, there was no tests. But they made a very thing, because all of a sudden, then the doctor gets a message from a loved one, and like, this is real, and he starts to cry. In the very end, you'll hear it in the very end, he's in his husband's house, and he goes, yeah, I had a really weird experience today about something, but just had to check someone into holistic medicine at the end of the day. So it made you see that they still put him into holistic medicine, and there was still something wrong with him. It wasn't a gift. There was an epileptic, something else. And I started laughing. I'm like, these guys, they're so good at keeping you so small thinking. They don't want you to know what you've got inside of you. So to wrap it up for me, we all have a gift. We all have this magic within us. What is yours? And if you need help finding it, we're here. You can help us. We have got a coaching program that's amazing called Being You in the Universe that we're just developing out. It's going amazing.
Great.
And so yeah, we can help guide you along that way if you want, or watch the next podcast. I'm sure we'll talk about this a lot.
The final thoughts that are coming in for me is exactly what you said. What if you desire owning your greatness, what are you intaking that's having you doubt it? Is it TV shows that make you think and affirm that you're small, and it's what Sandra said in that story? Are you listening to content that is encouraging that expression of self, or are you intaking programs that belittle and make you feel small, and all the frequencies that are opposite of owning who you are and your gifts? So watch, in pairing with Fake It Till You Make It, watch your environment and how that makes you feel, because the people around you matter, and what content you're taking in matters.
Birds of a feather flock together, and you can doubt that till the cows come home. It's true. You're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with. You're the sum of the 5 pieces of information you surround yourself with. You're the sum of the 5 TV shows you watch. Mm-hmm. It's all relative. The difference is that I can separate myself from those shows, but that took a lot of practice and knowing myself and not doubting it.
Mm-hmm. So enjoy your path.
Be blessed, and I can't wait to see the first person to fly. Be the 4-minute mile. There's a 4-minute mile that they always talk about. The first person that did, and then everyone started doing it. Be the first to fly, but do it on the ground first. Don't jump out of a window, please. And let us know. Be blessed.